I slap the stick, they run, cause the teeth on the puppy sing big when I poke it. Roll up a big split, then I spoke it. Brand new whip, looks slick when I poke it. When I step in the room, they wanna dance, cause the loud motherfucker gets rolled in the carpet. I look good, feel good, get paid, cause the fella's got the best damn gear in the movie.
Talks back, get flung in the boot, I pulled up. Shorts down with a couple of goons, stepping in. Tools out and they're ready to shoot, it's gloves up. Mask down when they're grabbing the loot, I just push start and the king in the clutch, I can't stop. Bark up, little bit of the puff, big things in the trunk of the big up truck. A free ride to the mall if you're fucking with us.
Eyes closed when I'm banging in Nina, and the bird sings well, so I call her Simone. I got 3 thick women in the bag in the trainer, cause a man really doesn't wanna do it alone. Hey, red dots on the top of the Magnum, the magazine's hanging at the back of my jeans. Order my PK, got me dripping in platinum. If his hands on the face, and it's time to squeeze. I slap the stick, they run, cause the teeth on the puppy sing big when I poke it. Roll up a big split, then I spoke it. Brand new whip, looks slick when I poke it. When I step in the room, they wanna dance, cause the loud motherfucker gets rolled in the carpet. I look good, feel good, get paid, cause the fella's got the best damn gear in the movie.
We got the best damn gear in the game. These other motherfuckers ain't nearly the same. No surprise, we be shipping the kilos. A quick reload and we're dealing again. Got richer for bricks and them powders. Chop, chop, cutting the block, it takes hours. These days on the lift, the finger kick back with my feet up, I puff my showers.
Cut caps and a puff my Cuban, get smoked like a Havana's in the back of the bar. This machine on my hips got me acting the nose. That's why I tell them make the chuck it in the back of the car. Whoa, sidestep while I break it down.
I guess I totally blew the no cussing rule. That's on me. That's absolutely on me. So that was Pete and Bass, or Bass, and they're awesome, or Bass. And yeah, hello everyone. I'm here to teach everyone perspective with my co-host and writer extraordinaire and family man. So William Perdomo.
Good evening. Whoever's here, whoever's joining us, whoever's watching, whoever's learning, welcome.
Yeah, we'll see. We have one person watching. It could be Will. Will's probably watching.
It's me because I'm trying to be cool.
It's you. You're being cool. So yeah, it's essentially the reason why we're doing this is so learning art in general, or drawing comic books, depending on what you want to do, draw storyboards or assorted, even fine artwork. There's a lot of rudimentary skills that are involved with that. And depending on how well you can draw the human form, the shapes of the human form, you can usually draw things well in perspective. And today, we're going to hopefully teach a couple simple ways of making single point perspective or double point perspective interesting, and how they can be utilized to great effect, especially in the comic book world and for covers and for other things. So that's primarily why we're here today. So to do something along those lines.
And I'm just here to keep you company as you do so.
Right. Yeah, man, I can't read anything if somebody does pop in. And let's see, comments. No comments. Yeah, because no one loves us.
I mean, maybe it's a busy night.
Maybe it
what
is.
It's Thursday, so yeah, we're getting in the weekend, so everybody's streaming. But who cares?
Well, regardless, so we have one person watching,
which is me.
And it's probably you, which is fine, and that's fine. So when I'm gonna have to pull up my screen here to kind of start this. So let me share my screen. Share screen. Do this. Say entire screen. Say allow, and then it's gonna go off. Funny. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm gonna close my thing here and open my Photoshop.
Look at that beautiful bit of art back there.
Yeah, a little bit of meathead going on. So that's good stuff right there. So yeah, depending on how well you can draw the human form already will determine how well you can draw the human form in perspective. So if you have basic understanding of drawing a body, then it makes it fairly simple. But there's ways of kind of like demystifying aspects of drawing the human form in some type of perspective, so it just doesn't look like a flat illustration. So the easiest way, and this is without any like me putting down any perspective lines, so this is just going to be me showing you essentially what I might do to give something a view that would allow me to draw something that has a lower perspective, like in the center where there's the middle. Not draw more perspective. What I mean is by drawing a box, essentially it shows me the volume of the thing I'm going to be drawing inside of that box, right? And that box, because it's a three-dimensional square like this, has volume to it. So we can see that this we're looking down on, this we're looking up at, and this is the middle. When we're drawing, especially comic books, we're thinking a lot about this. Drawing something that can be grounded and seem like it's in place. Now, the easiest way for me to do something like this is to kind of split it in half by like giving it a waist and then drawing a chest inside here and then drawing legs down here that kind of touch the floor. And essentially, you know, your character's in there, right? So how I'm going to get to, if you have this basic understanding, just this, you can usually draw things to great effect comic book wise. So it'll tell you that the feet, you know, have to face a certain way. It does a lot of stuff like that. So what we're going to do now, after I did that, is we're going to create a first single point perspective. I'm going to put a dot right in the center, make it really easy, or at least as center as possible. There we go. I'm going to break out. I have this little square or piece of plastic I use that's a circle template that I use sometimes as a ruler. And I'm just going to start making lines coming out from that center point, just to give me my perspective. So I know everything's coming out of this center point, and I'm just going to make as many lines as possible because working digitally allows me to actually lighten some of this stuff up like this. So if I want to draw over the top of it. So, and you can do this physically. This is fairly common. So let's say we've just now created our single point perspective. And our horizon line is usually, you know, straight across. So, but this time I kind of Dutched it a little bit. I kind of put it at a little angle. So what I'm going to do with that, because I put it at an angle like that, I want to be able to keep that angle. And that kind of angle, like where I've turned it Dutch, and let's say I do all of my buildings 90 degrees to this line across the center, allows me to make it a little more interesting. So than just running parallel to the edges of the page. Let me turn this over. Hold on.
I mean, later on, you've actually got a good example of this. One of the layouts to the Meathead pages you send me has these grid lines in there. Which is the one where they're going to the fireplace to observe what's going on there. Remember?
Yeah, there's grid lines. Yeah.
After this, we could bring that up as an example. You could see because it's actually a dynamic shot where it's kind of this perspective.
Yeah, yeah, I'd have to. You mean the pencils for it?
Yeah,
Have it on it? Yeah.
because I
I'd
mean, it
have
is
to.
a very complex shot because of what's going on. They're all vanishing to that point in the page.
Right, right, and that's true. So, and depending on where your horizon line is, like let's say I wanted to take every single thing like this and move that horizon line down to here where everything's kind of going off, then we know that the ground is here, right? And so what? Ooh, sorry. Let me back this up. So I'm going to keep it like this. So this makes it really simple for us. So uh, the easiest thing to do in single point perspective when you've done something like this is to draw buildings. So you have all your vertical lines. You can put in millions of windows. You can, as long as you follow everything, you can make buildings all day long in a perspective grid all the way down the street. You can make this the street if you want. You can even run the sidewalk. So this is the simplest thing you can learn how to do when it comes to perspective. Okay? Now the hardest thing is putting a person in here.
I was
And
about to ask the exact same thing.
what was that?
I was going to ask that, like, where do you put the people?
Yeah, so one of the hardest things to do is put a person in here. So there's your horizon line going all the way across still. So maybe the buildings come down here. This isn't perfect, obviously. I'm just kind of eyeballing things at this point. But you can, measure out all this stuff if you want to. You would probably want cars and stuff in here, but, I think of cars as like boxes. And they just have to be the right kind of shape box. Like if you want a sports car, you really want to pay attention to like how that box fills out things. Let's see, this line is this way, so this would be this way. So yeah, and I'm just trying to keep this somewhat in perspective to everything else. Um, and this is, as I said, the most rudimentary thing you should know how to do when you're drawing comic books. And tilting something a little bit like this on a Dutch kind of gives it a little more suspense, maybe like cars are moving or something down the road or whatever. So, the next hardest thing to do is to draw people on a grid like this. So, and before, when I was talking about, you make the boxes in the place where you're going to be, let's say, doing this. So let's see. This is still a single point perspective. I'm going to draw a few more lines in the background here because I want everything to be square. Like, I want this the plainest, simplest perspective it could possibly be. Like, super, 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 super simple. So I'm going to draw a bunch of boxes in here. And if you're good at form, human form, you should be able to fill these boxes with people. So what I'm doing is just following my original plan before of what perspective looks like. There's my box, right? Here's the floor of that box. I can even get rid of like those lines to just kind of create a floor. And there's several artists who do stuff like this, like Kim Jung Ji does it, Fraga does it. Um, this is a fairly common method of finding, space or volume in space, right? So we have two different boxes. They're very simple boxes. In each one, I'm going to draw people. And this one, obviously, let's say this box is already cut in half. Here's that circle of that waist that I would usually do. There's that chest. And then those legs, which, in this case, he's flying. So let's draw him like he's flying. So give him a little this, maybe put a little S on him like this. And then you could draw a big old cape out here like this, and draw his little head in here, his arms. There you go. See, that's basic anatomy for something that you would try to show the underside of like a person's face. You would, let's see, get all this. So yeah, you follow the volume of things to ground them. So let's say there's another superhero over here. And this superhero wants to kill this superhero. So I just draw a head here, like looking at that guy, right? And all my volumes right here, like it's literally all drawn out in these boxes. And because the boxes are of similar size, they sorry, let's get this more like this. You can see the foot in front of the other because it's in the box. You can see the chest going across here. You can draw another hand in here like this. So, and we can go even lower, go down here, where we have a box down here. Now, they're all relatively the same size boxes in reference to the background. So it makes it fairly easy. Now that person would be like in the middle of the ground, like he's standing on the ground, he's flying off the ground. Now this would probably be like a dog down here or something like that, or a penguin. Let's put a penguin, because who doesn't like penguins? So we have a little penguin with a little penguin face. So, yeah, single point perspective on a skew can be used to great effect in lots and lots and lots and lots of ways. Now, when you start doing 2-point perspective beyond this, there's some cool stuff that happens also. When you start putting stuff in the center of the page like this, everything kind of flattens out. And moves out from that point too. So like everything in the center's flat, but as you would move out this way, the curvature of the body would move out. That. I don't know if this makes any sense or anybody really cares, but this is, part of what people should typically learn when you're doing stuff like this. How are we doing? Anybody come in or?
Yeah, there's one person watching. At least they're getting education.
Oh, okay.
And you're meaning this for one person anyway, so
it is. It's absolutely for one person. So, and all the general knowledge that comes with like drawing a human figure. Like, let me close this and reopen another one. So, when we're thinking about drawing something foreshortened, like a person.
Welcome. The Crooked Painter says howdy. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. When people are thinking about doing stuff where perspective is involved and stuff like that, sometimes they want to really warp their figures, which single point perspective can work well for that also. Typically, you want to be as simple as possible when you're trying to foreshorten something, a figure. Let's say they have arms coming at you, right? Gonna cock that arm just a little bit. There we go. And then their waist, their belt would go down because it's below the horizon line, right? This is coming at us. A little crotch action. Going away from us. Gets smaller. And then, like, super dynamic, right? Let me erase this. Get you something that looks more like a hand.
It's a power burst.
It's a power burst. There you go. So let's put a big old shield on his chest. So even though this is a single point perspective, we can still make a dynamic figure that sits within that whole idea of living inside a square, right? Where, there we go. Bam. He's inside the square. So, and the same square takes up all the volume on every one of them. And it applies kind of across the board like that. If I was to move this up, his waist would go the other direction this way, which, you can kind of do that right there if you wanted to. If you wanted to bring his crotch up just a little bit, you can make it so that this does something more like this, where that kind of flattens out, and he's kind of thrown his crotch at you at that point. Let's go backwards. Let's get back out of that. I actually like the other one better. It seems more, appropriate. Let me see. Where did that go? Oops. So, let me see. We are just going to kind of fill him in, kind of block him in. Now, there's a whole lot of, when it comes to rendering figures and stuff, that's a whole nother story. Like, you literally have to think about lighting and stuff like that and how it applies to things.
The container says rage against the little box.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's a lot of theory for that, like when it comes to that. And then there's whole other things that apply. Like, let's say I wanted to use this similar layout that I have right now to apply it to something that's more interesting. So let's just do this. I'm going to block this like this. I am going to turn half of this page black. Boom. Okay. So I turned half this page black. I still have a perspective line. I still have an eraser. So let me get this eraser a little bigger. Now I'm going to start chiseling away at some of this stuff to kind of make it look more like buildings.
Frank Miller style.
Yeah, just kind of chip away at these things. And then over here, I'm going to actually add a building like jet black, right? Add more buildings. Here's my perspective. Here's the street, right? Add more buildings. So make sure you use your points. You can do this, and then you can add windows, right? keep them all going to your single point perspective. All like this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So, and then let's say we wanted to have like a little trail. And then over here, just in this white, put a guy in like a trench coat, like walking away from a scene. And we can draw that in there. So the more black I add in here for buildings and stuff like that, the more like white I can probably get away with like coming into here. And by creating that simple contrast, even using, where the head should be the horizon point, maybe just put them in a cloak or something. I don't know. You can make dynamic pieces, and it's still considered like you're still in perspective. You're still doing the same thing as before. Maybe if I had drawn Jack the Ripper or something like that, it would be a little better. But you can see how like just a single point, how much it can be effective when creating comic book illustrations.
Yeah, how much you can yield from just that one perspective.
Right. From just the simplest
you carved
stuff.
out a beautiful scene there, just one point.
Right. And you could even like put a door here and then put a light over here if you wanted to and have it shine down on him or something like that. There's lots of different stuff you could do. You could
doing
put little
from hell.
Yeah, you could do like little scenes that are little signs that say stuff, or you can have, or you can have a carriage over here, like with horses. Boom, 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 little horses. And it just has to be implied. And just because I hit that point, because I know where that horizon line is, and I know where all this stuff is, it can be used to great effect. You can just mess with stuff like this. You can make a bunch of water. Some of these windows and buildings can be reflected in it, I guess. That's pretty cool. That actually works out very nice. So there's lots and lots of ways that perspective can be used like this, very simply. Now, 2-point perspective. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of all this. All of it go bye-bye. Oops. 1 second. Let me rotate my canvas. There we go. So sometimes when you're plotting out stuff for 2-point perspective, because it's obviously not as easy as single point, you don't know where your points are going. Like your points are off. So sometimes what I'll do is you can measure like, I don't know, every half inch starting, let's say, in the center of the page. Let's see, it's 10 inches. We'll go half inch, half inch, half inch. We're just kind of guessing. Boom, 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 boom. So those are all half inch. Now I'm going to do 3/4 inch in the center of the page, 8 inches. And I'm going to start 1/4 of an inch in, like here. So my top line will go right to there. And then I might come down, I don't know, what is it, 3/4? Right here. That kind of gives me an idea of where all these lines should kind of be. Yeah, maybe not. Let me get out my ruler. We're going to do it this way. So I would measure 3/4 inches, like the center of my page, and then I would start to work this out so that it splays out like this. And it would be, if you have 3/4 of an inch in the center, every 3/4 of an inch, and you do every 1/2 inch like bundled up right here, you end up getting something that kind of looks like this, right? Now we want to have stuff coming from the other direction. That's our second point, right? So easy enough. We can do the same exact thing if we choose. So I am going to duplicate this, which is why it's so awesome in Photoshop. And then I'm going to flip this page around. Hold on 1 second. Transform, flip horizontally, and that gives me that. So instantly I have 2-point perspective. So everything else is at 90 degrees, like to the page. Like, so anything vertical would run 90 degrees. So I'll show you what that looks like down the center, right? 90 degrees to the corners or to the bottom of the page. That creates just a big cube of lines. And then you don't got to be real clean with this stuff. Like when you're doing it on computer, you can press shift and go to the top and just pull down and it leaves that line. But yeah, sometimes you get that little extra. Let me fix that. Man, there we go. So let me merge these, and then I'm going to change the opacity, and there we go. We are now in a very, very cool thing. So these are for like drawing the insides of like houses or offices or warehouses or just buildings, corners of buildings in general where two streets can merge together. It's good for drawing cars. So, but you can kind of visualize. So let me give you a little quickie on a vehicle. So I'm just following those perspective lines. And it's just going to give me this little box like this. Now, this box can be anything. It could be like Dracula's tomb for all we care. And we could have characters all standing around it. For this purpose, we can make it a car. I actually like the idea of doing like a tomb, so which is like old and gothic and fun. Oh yeah. So let me get this kind of dialed in here. So we're going to get rid of that line. That looks real nice. And then we can have peoples, standing around this tomb if we choose. That's a little tall, it looks like. So, but we can also draw them in squares like we did everything else also. We have the foundation essentially for whatever we need to draw into this. And the better you can draw people, the more foundation that you have, the more you can find this little square that I'm talking about whenever I'm drawing something. Like let's say there's the top of our heads. And here's our little square box that we're going to put this person in. That we know the ground is right there. right? We know their waist is somewhere around there. We know their head is right there. You can put their hands like on it. You draw their little foot, and they're right there. Like super simple. You know they're going to be there. Let's say we wanted to draw somebody on top of this, like their little head. Let's say they can be all sexy, I guess, because that's nice. That's every once in a while nice. And they also fit in their little square too. Like if I were to sit down and draw squares for you around all these people, you'd understand. Like they all fit within a certain place in space when you've drawn this grid. Um, and everything applies to the grid. If we want to draw chairs, we could do the same thing by using this grid. And because we know the height of everything, kind of, by the height of the people, we can approximate like what a chair might look like. That's a fucking sad chair. That is a sad chair. Anyways, 2 point perspective. Let's say this is an office building and the guy has his secretary on on his desk.
Well, there's an appropriate comment. Big titty window for the win from the Crooked Painter.
Exactly, man. So let's say we're able to look outside and out here would be, obviously buildings that would have to also fit our perspective rules that we've already drawn in. And as long as we kind of stay within relative close to like what we were doing, it tends to look right. So, yeah, it's pretty easy. But, a pain in the ass all at once. So, it's not something that it's not for the lighthearted. It's a lot of working stuff out beforehand before you get to do the fun stuff. And essentially, you just want to I know you just want to draw, but if you do all these essentials first, it'll help you in the long run to be able to do this faster and be able to eyeball some of this stuff so that you don't have to like always constantly be doing it like that. So I love the little desk. That's great. He's like totally ready. It's like, hey baby, get on my desk. What's going
His
on?
extremely heavy, huge desk.
Yeah, his very large desk. Here, let's
like
draw
Mussolini's desk.
Like Mussolini, yeah, exactly. Mussolini's desk. So let's see what else. What else can we do in a 2 point perspective? Now I know there's programs out there that you can use that like do all the perspective stuff for you. If you just go ahead and learn how to do this yourself, it'll save a lot of time in the long run because you'll have learned it and you'll be able to do it on command. Like you'll be able to just eyeball these things. And if you can just get a regular piece of paper, like let's say I even got rid of this and just got a regular piece of paper and just drew a box on it, like what I'm doing right now, you can teach yourself how to draw things, in perspective. Shit. Sorry. I put it on the wrong thingy. It's on the wrong thingy. There we go. I got to go back here. So, we're going to do this again. That's off. So, we're making another box. Super easy box. Super simple. Now, a lot of people can visualize these as opposed to, drawing them. Not everybody can do it. But and once you learn how to do it enough times, it just happens. So, I'm going to take this. Going to make our box lighter. And let's say I want to draw something inside this box that's pretty large and crazy or something like that. So let's, I guess, start with the head. Start with some type of waist. I don't even know if this thing will have a waist. Maybe not. Let's just start with an outline. Okay. I feel you. Here we go. So even the perspective here, like where our lines are supposed to be, will help give you where some of the facial structure is if let's say you're drawing like something in a box. I know it seems like a bizarre thing, but maybe this is a giant bunny. Giant evil bunny, Kyra Banor. Kyra Banor. You know who that is. The Cave of Kyra Banor. Bam. Okay. That's a kitty. Or I'm sorry, that's a rabbit in perspective. We know we're going to see both the legs. We know we're just going to see this one. Oh my God, he's fat. Let's make him fatter. There we go. I like it. And we know that if we drew a little horizon line right through here and we drew some grass, that he would be all hippity hoppity. And if we put a little shadow, that fits. So, yeah, boxes done to great effect. This is a great way of cheating doing 2-dimensional or 2-point perspective, is to use that box method. So it's great. You can draw heads in the box if you choose. Like, let's say you decapitated your neighbor. Let's see. Let's rotate this box. Let's see. Okay. So, yeah. Let's say you decapitated your neighbor. So we know that the head, the nose would most likely be on the center line.
Or if this is the ending of 7.
Right. We could draw it in the box if we chose. Like, we can literally keep the box. Like, do this.
What's in the box?
Yeah, what's in the box? So, here's the box. Right? So we kept the box, but we got to keep all the corners going to the right way, right?
Yep.
So there's the inside of the box, right? And now we have these lines, and most likely the neck would be down there, right? So I'm going to put a oval in the box. I'm going to draw my ears down way low, right? So most likely the nose is still going to be right here, because we're looking up into it, and the cheeks, right? Eyes would, most likely be somewhere up there. So eyebrows, we can draw hair, right? So drawing nostrils, so this nose probably is a little wider. So sometimes I do like a little hybrid thing where I just put like a little M and it still makes a nose. And the mouth is going to be up pretty high. Probably going to see teeth because it's been in the box for a little while. It's rotting. Let's see. Maybe it's a zombie head in a box. Like somebody sent you a zombie head in a box.
Sure doesn't look like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, no Gwyneth Paltrow in a box. No, that's bad. That's bad. So just by drawing the box, you can see how it essentially informs you so much, and it's such a simple thing to do. It's more people should do it. So there we go. Let's see. Here's our box. Bam. Head in the box. We can put maybe a little shadow right here. Oops, we don't want to do that yet. We want to do this. There we go. Head in the box. So in perspective. And you can keep adding shadows, like to kind of make it a little more spooky. Yeah, just like that. Bam. Maybe make a little drip outside the box, a little storytelling. Right? So, it's a great effect. 2-point perspective, single point perspective, can be used so many different ways. Yes, I didn't sit down and laboriously all draw this stuff out for everybody. Hopefully you all know how to draw already by the time you get to this, and hopefully this will be helpful to other people down the line. It's always good to even break down your rudimentary stuff every once in a while and just touch on it so that it keeps you snappy. So yeah, drippies, gross. So yeah, all the good stuff. So what do you think, Will? Think drawing perspective is fun?
Yes.
Because
who wants everything bang on like we did in high school, right?
Yeah. It looked funny when we used to draw cars like this, like a little side view of a car, do a little circle.
Yeah, I mean it's just not very interesting.
Yeah, it's not cool, yo. It's just not cool. Like you can do side views of stuff and make them look really nice if you choose, but
mostly if you're trying to go for objective angle, sure. But if you want to get subjective and for a point of view like you just did above, you're going to have to know this stuff. Otherwise, everything's going to be flat and not really have much of a point of view.
That's right. So we don't want to draw like this. No.
Unless you're doing, like I said, in a point of view. This could be somebody watching that truck.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can be somebody watching that truck, but if I was going to do it, I would still use 1-point perspective on it, right? Like if we used 1-point perspective on it, right? Boom, 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 boom. There could be buildings that are all in perspective that show that it actually grounds the truck, even though the truck is flat, right? You see what I mean by that? Mm-hmm. Just by me putting in those few lines. So just to be able to do that, just if you put that single point on there, you go from making something that's flat to more real. So yeah. And even there, single point could be somebody watching. Yes, it doesn't have to be like all flat. If it was super flat, like I would have drawn the car and then all my buildings would have just looked like this. Little squares, right?
Yep.
They wouldn't have even receded into the background. They just would have been like bloop, 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 bloop.
The Crooked Tanner says, man, picking up chicks in the 1800s was rough. Thank God for smartphones.
Exactly. So, yeah. anyways, boxes, drawing in boxes, drawing in perspective. It's fun. So, yeah, I think I'm done with my lesson. So let me.
In record time.
Yeah, that's good, man. Let me get out of this. I can come back. I'm back. Yay! We still have one, and I still believe it's you.
No, it's not me. I swear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for removing that.
So whoever that gentleman is who wanted you to do this for them, here you go.
Yeah. His name is Osiris. So shout out to Osiris, and he's in animation school, and I'm gonna do a 3-point and a curvilinear one in a couple weeks. So you can come check out how to draw curvilinear art, which is like fisheye lens type stuff, which is much harder because you're exaggerating a lot of your form. So yeah, draw boxes, learn to draw things in those boxes, learn to place your stuff, learn to apply single point perspective to flat drawings in order to make them appear to be more grounded.
Thank you.
And whenever you want something to go, like you want it to look cool and like fighting or any of that type stuff, always go Dutch. Like take your horizon line, tilt it a bit, and throw your characters in perspective, like so that it creates a more dynamic flow as opposed to them just being squared up on the page.
And he said, "Thank you, Mr. Cricket Painter, for the perspective."
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, buddy. So yeah, it's the first one. I'm gonna do a second one another time. So say hi to Rex when you see him for me, okay, buddy? So yeah, I think we're gonna end this. So that was really quick. I'm glad. I'm glad it's simple and easy. And I'm sure all those people out there drawing comic books in the Twitter sphere already know all this stuff, but it never helps to learn it every once in a while. No. I'm not being mean. So I'm just saying it's okay to like learn basic stuff to help ground everything. So and even I do it, and I've been doing this for a while. So yeah. Anyways, it's good to see you, Will. You're fantastic. Yeah, man. Friend. It's been a little while. So you're looking fucking skinny, by the way.
Yeah, I think, like I said, since the last Frega stream, I've lost 25 pounds.
You're doing good though. Like you're looking good, so that's fantastic. And yeah, it's onward and upward, man. So what we have going on. So quick update on stuff. So I'm in the middle of Jawbone Death. I'm hopefully gonna have that wrapped up here soon in the next month or so, maybe a little longer. I'm then jumping back to Meathead, where we have a lot of cool stuff that should be happening with that. I'm ironing a bunch of that stuff out with Will. And in between that, on the intern, I've got to do a couple covers for some 80s properties that kind of got me into comic books, which was a really big thing for me. So Tim Tyler does Ravage for the comic book Stain, and Stain issue 4 is currently live over on Kickstarter. And you can go over there and pick up our covers and join in on the ongoing adventures of the 80s character Ravage, which has been reintroduced 40 years later. Number 2, I did a Grips cover, which if you know me, you know that Grips was my very first comic book. It got me into comics. It's the first one I ever owned. So I went out of my way to purchase one when I was 15 in high school. And from that point on, I knew I wanted to draw comic books. And a couple months ago, I had the opportunity to purchase the character from Chris Silver. Unfortunately, things didn't go my way, and it was picked up relatively quickly by Everett Hartsoe, which, as you know, is the creator of Razor. And anybody who loves Razor knows that Razor is kind of like a rip-off of Grips. So it's very cool that Everett gets to play in that Into the Pool. So I hear he's going to remaster the first 6 issues and relaunch them. He's going to do it through Kickstarter. And luckily, I was able to do a cover for him for the very first issue. So that makes me very, very, very happy. So anybody who's, on the fence or hasn't been picking stuff up, if you loved 80s comics like I did back in the day, you could go back and actually hopefully relive some of that stuff. And I think it's going to be good. So I'm going to talk to Everett maybe about doing some more with him, but I don't know. I have a very full schedule, and I'm pretty sure Adam would get very mad at me if I kept taking more jobs. So the only person I'll do more jobs for, if they ask for covers and stuff like that, is currently the Ripaverse. So I already did one, which I can't tell you what it is because I'm under NDA, but they treated me very well, and I really like the Ripaverse, and I would be looking forward to playing in their sandbox. So anyways, cool. How about you, Will? Anything new going on?
No, I mean everything you just said, pretty much, and more edge punk.
And more edge punk, yes, edge punk. Yes. So I believe the third one being written currently.
Yeah, the third one's being compiled, for that third issue of that Cyberpunk magazine by Seth Nickum or Tokume.
Yeah, by Tokume.
And I'm doing another story in there.
Right. So and I believe it's the same group of people still. So it's Cy and Shay, and they're all part of it, and they're helping get that magazine out there. So shout out to all of them and the hard work they do. So yeah, cool. So lots of stuff in the fire, guys. Yeah, so much cool stuff to come, and I think it's probably right about time to wrap up the show. Should we wrap it up with some music since we've already cussed enough? So let's see. Let's look at our multimedia assets here. And we started with Pete and Bass. I don't remember what this one was, but I think we're going to head out on this one. So you have a good night, Will. And I'll see you backstage.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Ciao.